It was about 1 year ago this time, and Neal Brown made headlines around the country for saying the West Virginia Mountaineers would not finish 14th in the Big 12 preseason poll. The preseason poll is out again, and he may not be happy with the Mountaineers are selected. Let's talk about that right after this word from my sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Shine Auto Spa and Tint in Morgantown, West Virginia. At Magic Shine, your vehicle's care is their top priority. They use only the highest quality products to ensure your car not only looks its best, but is also protected and maintained with the utmost care. From window tinting, top-of-the-line Max Pro Tint, to protective ceramic coatings from Diamond Protec, they've got you covered. Drive in today and experience the difference at Magic Shine Auto Spa and Tint, where your car shines like new. Shine on, Morgantown.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and this is another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. I am your host, and what a day it is. The Big 12 preseason media poll is out again. Can you believe it was a year ago that Neal Brown took the stage by storm, really took over the media day? He had several interviews after media days to clarify his position on the Mountaineers ranking of 14th. Where would the West Virginia Mountaineers be ranked in this year's poll, though? Was kind of a question I think a lot of us were wondering. A case could be made from anywhere, probably from 4 to 8th, somewhere in there, right? Well, let's have a look-see here. I wrote an article on WVInsiders.com, and that'll give us our answer. Defying the odds again, WV picked 7th in the 2024 preseason poll. In a stunning turn of events, West Virginia University finds itself once more in a position of proving the pundits wrong. Picked to finish a discouraging 14th just a year ago, head coach Neal Brown's Mountaineers are now projected to claim the 7th spot in the Big 12, according to the latest media preseason poll. After an impressive 9-win season culminating in a Duke's Mayo Bowl triumph, WVU's rise from the cellar of predictions to a respectable mid-table position highlights a remarkable transformation. Coach Brown, never one to shy away from adversity, famously declared at the 2023 media day that his team wouldn't settle for last place. And true to his word, they defied expectations, finishing in a 3-way tie for 4th in the conference standings. Looking ahead to the 2024 season, optimism abounds in Morgantown, a staggering 75% plus of last year's production returns, anchored by the dynamic quarterback Garrett Green, and the defense has been bolstered by the key transfers, promising a formidable presence on the field. The offensive line is spearheaded by standout left tackle Wyatt Milam and reinforced by 3 top performers from last season, standing ready to fortify their ranks. The preseason outlook, however, paints a different picture, with WV once again cast as underdogs. Despite their achievements, the Mountaineers face the familiar challenge of proving their worth on the gridiron. With powerhouse newcomers like Utah and Arizona shaking things up, the road to success in the Big 12 promises to be as competitive as ever. As anticipation builds for the upcoming Big 12 media days in Las Vegas, where the storylines of the season will unfold, WV fans can count on comprehensive coverage. From WV Insiders, the stage is set for yet another thrilling season of football action where West Virginia aims to silence doubters and exceed expectations once again. I think that's where we're at with this. Can West Virginia, for a second season in a row, silence doubters and exceed expectations? It's a really interesting conversation. Before we go any further with that line of thought, let's look at the Big 12 preseason poll as a whole. Looking at the preseason poll here, number 1 is Utah. I just don't see it, guys. People can call me what they want. I almost did a separate video on it on my own. I know Utah's stacked, but I'm not going to pick any team in their first year with the conference. Although they returned Cam Rising and a lot of talent, I get that. I just think the Big 12 is going to throw a couple curveballs Utah's way coming from the Pac-12 where there's a couple more layups. There is no layups in the Big 12 this year outside of maybe Arizona State and Houston, which I guess now there is. There wasn't there for a couple years when Kansas got better. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Iowa State, West Virginia. I think all of us are going to really make this conference tough. And it's going to be just teams are going to feast on each other. I really do believe that. It's going to be incredibly difficult. I'm curious to see who's going to come out on top in this conference, guys. With Texas and Oklahoma gone, there's just no one team you can point to and say, yep, that's the team. Obviously, a lot of people think that's Utah, and that's fair. I just disagree. I think if you look at overall talent, what people have coming back, everything like that, I think number 2 or 3, Oklahoma State or Kansas, are going to be my early favorites. One of those two teams, that's Ollie Gordon in trouble. Not exactly sure where that places them and what they're going to do with him. Kansas State's loaded, and really they've got everything when you would want coming into the season to possibly contend. Kansas is live polls gotten them better every year. Can you believe Kansas is 4th in a poll? I mean, come on, guys. They were ranked last year over year. And to be honest, very just incredible job there by Lance Leopold and the staff, even though he lost Kotelnicki and guys like that. It'll be interesting to see what he does with another year with the Kansas Jayhawks. Arizona, probably the most disrespected team on the list. They're just as talented as Utah, if you're going to make a case for somebody. And because they lost the head coach, which is a huge loss, I get that. Totally get that. But because they lost the head coach, I think that's why they're at 5. If Jed Fish comes back for another year in Arizona, they're probably where Kansas State is or Oklahoma State. They're 2 or 3, right? Or 1. I mean, I don't think they would have gotten 1 over Utah. People were just in love with that program. And for good reason. They made a lot of noise and all that in the Pac-12, not the Big 12. We'll see what they do in the Big 12. I've always maintained the last few years the Big 12 is better. We'll see if I'm right. And then you look down the list. I think, personally, I think West Virginia is going to be better than Kansas and Iowa State this year. I think a top 5. I think West Virginia's 5th or better in this conference. And I think we're going to be in the conversation for the title game. I really believe it. You can call me crazy. You can call me a homer. This is a fan channel, by the way. I don't ever shy away from that. But being objective, I truly believe this year, and if you go back and look at other years from me, I said we'd be lucky to win 6 games last year. I wasn't on the hype train because of Garrett Green, and I just wasn't 100% sold on us. I really wasn't last year, and as the year went on, I became more sold on the offense. UCF is an interesting one. They're similar to us in that they could finish way higher than 8th, and I think their fans probably wouldn't be happy with this right here with the number 8 spot because the KJ Jefferson move is probably the most, if not the most significant quarterback move in the conference. I mean, who picked up a better player at quarterback than they did? Maybe Utah, if you count Cam Rising right here coming back healthy for 6 years? I don't know how long he's been there at Utah, but good God. He's probably broken all the records, I'm sure. Texas Tech's going to be interesting too with Baron Morton. They're a team that Joe McGuire didn't do what they set out to do last year. That's obvious. And I'm just curious to see how they're going to bounce back after what was a super disappointing year last year. They were in the catbird seat last year by a lot of people's estimations. They were in that 3 to 5 range where you're looking at them and you're saying, okay, this team is a contender. Some people picked them to win the conference last year. They just didn't do that. Obviously, Brooks is one of the best backs in the country. Baron Morton, a 4-star talent at quarterback. They've got a ton of length and athleticism on defense. They recruit the state of Texas hard and really have a lot of talent on the team. So we'll be curious to see what they look like. TCU, just a couple years removed from a national championship game appearance. And Sonny Dykes is not going to stand for 10th. He may be pulling Neal Brown and say they're not going to finish 10th. They have made a ton of moves in the offseason. The kid they have at quarterback, Hoover, is an absolute stud. He's got the best arm in the league, in my opinion, just sheer arm talent-wise. And I will be shocked if he isn't going to catapult them a little higher this year. And they're going to be dangerous. Colorado is another dangerous team. I think Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the league, personally. He's in the top 3. Let me go top 3. As a passer, I mean, listen, say what you want about his personality. I never said he was a great guy. But if you're talking about just throwing of the football, go watch Shedeur Sanders on tape. And what he did with the horrible offensive line last year, it's well documented what he did with a really bad, porous offensive line. What's he going to do with a good one if they're good? If that offensive line is good, Colorado can make some noise on offense, no doubt about it. Not sure what Dave Aranda is going to do at Baylor. You don't feel like there's been a lot of progress made there. I'm sure they've made progress, but I'm not there every day, and I don't watch the 365 guys as much as I used to. I'm going to have one of them on to discuss Baylor here in the next couple of weeks, because I'll get Paul or Craig to come on and talk about Baylor, because I think it's going to be an interesting, especially where Dave Aranda is concerned. I mean, you look back 2022 season, he was looked at the second coming, maybe the best coach of the conference, the silent assassin. And now he's in the Neal Brown spot from last year, right? Maybe the hottest seat in the conference. BYU, so Kalani Sitake, what a job he's done there over the years. They've got a ton of quarterbacks there that can get it done. And really the kid they had he started his first game against us last year, Retzlaff. That kid has a ton of ability, and I had been expecting him to win the job until Jerry Bohannon ended up there. And it's hard to believe that kid is still playing college football. But Bohannon, the former Baylor quarterback who knows how to win, and listen, if he wins that job, that's a scary situation too, I think, because Bohannon really had the Baylor offense humming. And, they absolutely blitzed us when we played him. So it'll be curious to see who wins that job there. Apparently, the other kid that they've got, Burgett, has been in the running as well, which is why we got Ryder Burton to transfer to West Virginia. But that situation there will be interesting. I really like Retzlaff, though. I think he's got a ton of arm talent. We'll see where they go with it. I'm sure there are people in the know that would have that answer already. I just have not been keeping up on BYU as much. You look at Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield, who obviously they didn't have the year they wanted to have last year. They're going to bounce back at some point, I have no doubt. Satterfield kind of proven he can build a team now that Louisville took off with really the team that he built last year. Now, was he winning with that team? No, he was not. But I think he's proven to have the ability to put talent together on a roster. And that's the same exact. Listen, Cincinnati and Louisville are like an hour apart, if that. So it's similar to West Virginia and Pittsburgh, and how far they are apart. So he's recruiting the exact same area. Like it hasn't changed not one bit, except now you're in the state of Ohio, which actually gives you an advantage in some ways. Now, is it easier to recruit to Cincinnati than Louisville? No, I'm not saying that, because Louisville's just a little bit better of a brand. But being in Ohio is an advantage, because Ohio is one of the 5 best high school football states there are. And even the leftovers, similar to Florida with the Mountaineers that we've seen over the years past, those players are going to be really talented, really good. And you're going to win some battles too. So, I think they got a shot to bounce back quicker than people think. The most interesting offseason hire, though, Willie Fritz at Houston, is going to be a big hire for them. I think he's the guy that gets them turned around. Love what he did. Really do. I love what he did at Tulane. What What a squad. I mean, just think about what he was able to do at Tulane, guys. He won a major bowl game at Tulane over USC. Whether they wanted to be there or not is irrelevant. They, in any given year, should not even have 1/3, not even an eighth of the talent that a USC should have as far as what's incoming. Now, you build it through the portal these days, I get that, but they beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. What a job he did at Tulane, and it's not going to take him long at Houston, and to be honest, I'm scared of him there because he's going to do what Dana couldn't do and turn that program around. I have no doubts. I just don't. Call me crazy. Donovan Smith's going to be back at quarterback for those guys, and honestly, he puts it all together physically. He's a really talented kid as well. He could have a huge year at Houston. You got to cut down on the turnovers, obviously. And then, look, they got Tony Mathis at running back, and we have a lot of respect for him around here. I just don't think you can discount the Houston Cougars at 15, but they're certainly down one of the lower part teams in the conference. And then rounding this thing out, you've got Arizona State at 16, which is, everybody's probably everybody's pick for 14 through 16, and obviously Kenny Dillingham got a lot of respect for what he did at Oregon. Got a lot of respect for him as a coach. The Jaden Rashada stuff that went on there was really, really weird and odd and how all that went down, but that is the day and age we live in. And so I think Sam Levitt's going to be the guy there, but got to see more out of Arizona State. Got to see what these four coming in look like on the field in the Big 12, traveling to these universities specifically, because it's not going to be like the Pac-12 at all. It's just not. It's completely different. These are college towns rather than big cities. And I know there are a few college towns in the Pac. I'm just saying, you're not going to USC. You're not going to UCLA. You're going to Manhattan, and you're going to Morgantown, Lawrence. It's just all the same passionate fan bases, and I'm going to be interested to see how these four perform. But back to West Virginia, we ain't going to finish 7, guys. I just don't feel it. I don't feel it in my bones at all. I think we're going to be a top 4 team at least, and possibly we finish for a tie somewhere at something. I don't know that we're going to win the championship game yet. Obviously, Penn State's going to tell us a lot. We win that game, then everything's on the table. I think anybody would agree with that has a brain. Either that or Penn State's extremely overrated, and I don't think that's the case. So let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens. Let me know how you feel below. Drop a comment below. Tell me how you feel about the Mountaineers this year. Do you love the Mountaineers? Do you have love for the Mountaineers? Subscribe below. Let me know. Like the video. Did I disrespect your team today? Are you pissed at me? Let me know that too. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Really appreciate you for tuning in. The Mountaineers a big pick 7th. I don't see them staying there. There's a few other teams I like along the way. And we'll talk about that as the time comes. We're going to continue our series talking with other journalists for other teams this week. Just have to get the scheduling right. Until then, this has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over, and I am out.
This is for Cameron. Cam. Oh.